Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to Apostle and Elders in New York. Great Millstone. My name is Mayuk Allah Ben Gad, which comprehension Great Millstone. All right, so we're gonna go over what something Captain Tazarayach said, in ignorance. All right, but I'm gonna read this right here. Copyright disclaimer on the section 107 Copyright Act 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. All right, so the upcoming clips, all right, in this live video is used for teaching, research, comment, and criticism. All right. So if I have a fair use, all right, fair use to use these clips, all right, these upcoming clips, all right. So this is what Captain Tazarayach said, right here. Hold on, let me get it. Where is it? Just hold on for a minute. I'm gonna get it for it. Hold on for a minute. Just hold on. All right, it's coming up. Hold on for a minute. Not that. Hold on. Let me see. Sure. Okay, damn. I just passed it. Hold on. Here you go right here.
Antetokounmpo? Yeah, he's not one of us.
He's not one of you.
No, because he's a Hamite.
Who's considered black to you?
All right, so I'm gonna play it again.
Kupo? Yeah, he not one of us. Oh, yeah, he not one of us. Oh, yeah, he not one of. Oh, yeah, he not one of us.
He's not.
Kupo? Yeah, he not one of us.
He's not.
Kupo? Yeah, he not one of us.
He's not one of you.
All right, so he said Giannis Antetokounmpo is not one of us, but that's not true. All right, could you look up what his father tribe is? All right, it's real simple, man. Yeah. All right, so he say he's Nigerian. Okay, we all know that a lot of so-called Nigerians are Israelites. All right, so you look up his tribe. All right, of course they're gonna add in African heritage. All right, but it said his father is Yoruba, his mother is Igbo. All right, and what's one of the tribes? One of the main tribes that came here to Americas was the Yoruba people. All right, let me get this first right here. All right, it said Proverbs chapter 15, verse 2. It says, the tongue of the wise uses knowledge all right, but the mouth of fools poured out foolishness. And double foolishness will count that poured out, man. All right, let me get this right here. James chapter 1, verse 1. It says, James, a servant of Yahweh, and Abwan Yahweh Shai Mashiach. All right, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, right? And that goes along with Deuteronomy 28 and 64. All right, it says Deuteronomy 28 and 64. It says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even to the other. There thou shalt serve other powers, which neither thou nor thy father had known, even wood and stone. That's all the idols that our people made up themselves in West Central Africa. Then, Christianity, Islam, and such. All right. Now let's look up the Yoruba tribe. All right. All right. So it said the Yoruba tribe. And I looked it up. It says the Yoruba tribe people were heavily impacted by the transatlantic slave trade, particularly from the 18th century through the mid-19th century, while millions of Africans, they weren't actually, these were Israelites, Judeans, all right, were captured from the region what is now Nigeria. The eternal collapse of the dominant Yoruba oil empire, and you're also Yoruba, that's a bad word, because they didn't call themselves that originally, oil empire, and subsequent civil war drove a massive wave of Yoruba captives to the Atlantic trade. Right, and that go with the curse. It says what? Deuteronomy 28 and 45. 46, it says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, to thou be destroyed, because thou hearkens not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power to keep his commandments, his statutes, which he command thee. All right, it said Deuteronomy 28 and 46, it said, they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever. And your rule was what? They were sold in the land and slave trade. All right, here, matter of fact, here you go right here, Deuteronomy 28:48. There thou shalt serve thy enemy, which Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and thirst and the nakedness and the want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck till destroy thee. Right. So that's what happened. They brought Jake over here, or they was exporting the northern kingdom to the other side. They was in thirst, they was in hungerness, and they had a yoke of iron upon their neck. Matter of fact, what is that?
No, because he's a Hamite.
All right, so go to yoke of iron upon that neck. Hold on for a minute. Let me see what comes up when I press Yoruba. All right, and I'm gonna come back to Giannis stuff, something else I want to get done. All right, hold on, not this. All right, hold on. Yoruba slave. Hold on for a minute. Let me type that. Let me see you put up Yoruba slave. All right, so you go to Yoruba. All right, that's the drawing of Jake on the slave ships and stuff. So, all right, let's see. What is that? Hold on for a minute. Let me see the yoke. Let me type this up. All right, well, just put this simple slave yoke of iron. And put Brazil. Let's see what pops up. So, all right, so it goes slaves in Brazil with a yoke of iron on their necks. All right, so down in Brazil, you had Yoruba, Damali, then you had Asher, the distant people, man, and slaves. So, all right, so there goes some Jakes in Brazil, and but the dominant slave that were brought to Brazil with the Yoruba to go to your yoke of iron on his neck. So, let me get this off. Hold on for a minute. All right, so you got Yoruba. All right, so they got taken to Brazil. It said Brazil and the slave Yoruba people apparently referred as Nago became the dominant force in Bahia. All right, you see they was all to the idolatry and stuff. You can see right here, wood and stone. All right, it said linguist survival Yoruba language became sacred, a lyrical tongue. 100 Yoruba words into Brazilian Portuguese, particularly terms for few music and spirituality. See that? All right. What it says, what Jake is the formative of all things, man. All right, in the scriptures. All right, what is that? Hold on for a minute. All right, let me get this. That's a lock. All right. All right, go to Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51 and 19. It says the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he's the former of all things. It's a rod of Harris, Yahweh the host in his name. Right, man. All right. So Jacob the former of all things, man. All right. Also, we'll, wise nation. You go to Deuteronomy 4. All right. Uh, 4, we start 4, verse 7. It says, we'll start with 6. It said Deuteronomy 4, verse 6. All right. Keep, therefore, and do them. This is your wisdom, talking about the law, statute, commandment, your understanding in sight of the nation, which you heard all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. It said, for what nation they're so great who have Yahweh so now to them, as Yahweh our power, is all things are called upon them. Verse 8, what nation there so great has statute judgments for rights and all this law, which I set you for this day, man. All right. So we have understanding and incite the heathens, man. All right. When we keep the law, statute, commandments, all right, the way we live, then also we have understanding other things like mathematics, methodology, agriculture, and such, man. It was a highly intelligent people. When you go to all right, when you go to archaeology, man, I'm about to show you. All right, this is LAFA. All right, this is where these statues find it, man. Yoruba statues, man. Look at that. All right, you can see it right here. All right, you can see right there, man, how advanced it was. Esau, he tried to attribute to the Greeks, man, when he saw these statues, man. Highly advanced, man. As a matter of fact, LAFA had in Nigeria, they had paved streets, man. All right. So then Esau tried to attribute that to them when it's not. It never was, man. Hold on for a minute. All right, you see right here it says when the early 20th century European explorers, all right, Esau first encountered how natural bronze and let me get this. I don't know what they said at the end. It says Leo from the German intelligence and that's led to life with the Greek connection, stunned by their realism. All right, so it's highly advanced stunned realism, acquisitive detail, advanced lost wax. Something I can't see that. I don't know what the hell's going on right here. All right, but anyway, Yoruba said the true origin, ancient. It said Yoruba craftsmanship, reality, these breathtaking sculpture created between, like I said, the what is that? I wish he shut up. All right, Salah, that's my nephew. Right. Hold on for a minute. Let me look this up again. Okay, there you go. That's better. All right, so it says, I'll read this over again. It says, Leo Frobenius in 1910, German ethnologist Leo Frobenius led opposition to Fa and acquired several stunning brass and terracotta heads. The Greek connection, stunned by the realism, exquisite detail, and advanced lost wax techniques. Frobenius drilled the sculpture with a work of lost colony in ancient Greece. Oloka and Poseidon, he was still identified the famous brass Oloka has at the depiction of the Greek sea god Poseidon. All right, but it said true origin ancient FA said Yoruba craftsmanship. In reality, these breathtaking sculptures were created between the 12th and 15th century by master artists of Yoruba civilization in southwestern Nigeria. Royal ancestors, the heads depict divine rulers older than the royal ancestors that was made with sophisticated lost wax casting technique out of copper alloy, brass, and terracotta. It said cultural significance. The Yoruba consider Efe to be the birthplace of humanity and center of their spiritual political unity. We know that's not true. All right, but you have to remember Jake gonna be bugged out, according to the curses, man. All right, Jake was gonna be bugged out, man. All right, so they found out these high terracotta, these highly advanced terracotta heads and bronze heads, man. They tried it. attribute that to them. The Edomites try to attribute it to them, man. That's untrue. All right. Let me get this right here. Deuteronomy 28, verse yeah, hold on for a minute. All right. That's not what I want. All right, so hold on for a minute. All right, Psalms 58 and 3, man. And this is what Esau does. All right, Psalms 58 and 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they're born speaking lies. All right. So Esau tried to tribute the Yoruba people, those bronze heads and those terracotta heads, to him. All right. When it was, because they were shocked that these Negroes had this highly advanced civilization. 'Cause Esau was telling lies about Jake, man. In this case, particularly the Southern Kingdom, man. All right. Let me see more. The heads. All right. You can see highly advanced they are, man. And that's why Esau brought up people over here to the Americas, man. All right, because you're not gonna build your kingdom with a bunch of, you're not gonna build your kingdom with a bunch of dummies, man. You can see how highly advanced they are. Look at this. All right, now we're gonna go back to here. It says, let's see, Deuteronomy 28 and 68. How the Yoruba slaves came over here. It says, and I, Yahweh, shall bring thee to Egypt again with ships by the way there. I spake on thee, thou shalt see no more again. There you should be sold until any from bondman, bond with no man shall buy you. So they fit their prophecy of coming over here to America in those ships, man. And then Egypt is double for it. It's talking about captivity. It's also talking about America, man. All right. And some Yoruba slaves were brought to North America, Egypt. All right. So let's get that. Hold on for a minute. Let me see, Yoruba slaves. And this is a shame, man. And they always holler, ISBK holler, this is the home of the truth, and you don't do your research for open your mouth, man. Let me see. I don't want no damn soccer, man. I care about that. All right, so what's this? All right, so North America.
Bro, it's this same nigga they keep, bro. He's cheating.
It's a lot. My nephew playing that damn Call of Duty. All right, it says, enslaved Yoruba people from the present day Southwest Nigeria being were forcibly brought to North America during the transatlantic slave trade, while numbers were sent to Brazil, Caribbean, thousands arrived in U.S. Southeast, including Virginia, Georgia, and Carolinas, heavily influenced music, language, and culture. See that? All right. It said most Yoruba people arrived in North America during the 18th, 19th century, while, all right, 18th century, 1700, and 19th century to 1800s. All right, 'cause I know sometimes Jake get confused. It said while early captives came sporadically, the massive influx of Yoruba people happened during the collapse of the oil empire and subsequent to civil wars. All right, and what's the civil wars? Let's go back to the curses, man. In Deuteronomy 28 and 54, it says, so that a man that is turned among you very delicate is actually evil towards his brother and toward the wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children, which he should leave, man. All right, so that's that civil war. All right, all right, that's the curses, man. And also they were fighting the Home people too, man. That's part of those curses. All right, it says this internal regional turmoil led to the explosion number of captives sold to European traders at West African ports at Badagry. The influx of African, it said North America, Yoruba captive were frequently referred as Aku, a common Yoruba greeting, or Nago by traders. Despite the heavy racial identity of plantation elements of Yoruba linguistic, music rhythms, the root of banjo styles, and spiritual calls and response, and folklore quietly survived in places like Georgia Sea Islands. All right, the remnants of Yoruba language, naming conventions, and storytelling were preserved amongst the Gullah Geechee. All right, and a lot of Gullah Geechees they know, some Gullah Geechees they know they're the Israelites. Man. A lot of Gullah Geechee culture is centered on the Bible, man. All right, and some of the Yoruba was also Levites, man, on the left hand side. Which about it said while North America received smaller portions of Yoruba cattle compared to regions like Cuba, Santeria, see that? Brazil, Condominiale, and Haiti, voodoo, survived Yoruba religion, philosophy were much more visible, though Latin American and Caribbean regions. Indeed, various enslaved Yoruba centralized the Orisha deities were Catholic saints, allowing them to preserve their original pantheons. All right, and this going to hell off. All right, because I got a lady on here who's Yoruba, and she gonna tell you that they supposed to worship the Most High, man. And see, that's why Jake is over here, man. All right, so that damn idolatry, man. All right, hold on. Let me get that Isaiah chapter 50. All right. So this is Giannis people, man. This he our people. All right, but that's what ISPK, man. They don't study, man. All right. It says Isaiah chapter 50, verse 1, thus said Yahweh, where's the bill your mother's divorcement, whom I put away? Talking about Israel, the mother Israel, which my creditors to whom I sold you. Right. The most high gave us up to the other nations. That's I read that in Deuteronomy 26:8. You should be sold unto your enemy. Yahweh gave us up. Behold, for your iniquities had you sold yourself. All right, for our iniquities we got sold into captivity. For your transgression is your mother put away. Right, we's gonna be put in a fallen state, man. All right. So this guy Cap don't know what the hell he talking about, man. All right. All right. So hold on for a minute. I forget the elder. Would she be? Salaki, that's my nephew. All right. I know he's gonna come. All of a sudden, he done ran downstairs. Hold on. I'm so excited to open. Cause it was quiet before he came. All right. So hold on for a minute. Where is that? All right. So he go this elder right here. Watch this.
There is a platform where you can search billions of historical records, uncovering hidden stories of your ancestors. The idea of having many gods.
All right. You see right here. So she gonna tell the truth. All right. About the Yoruba, how they supposed to worship the Most High. And they call him Olodumare. All right. But we all know him as Yahweh. All right. So watch this.
No, I'm a boy long or lower. I've never seen any other person call God in Yoruba language. I know about the Olodumare. Let's start with the meaning of Olodumare. If you speak in Yoruba, you know the word Odu. It means a pot. Mare means that it's never exhausted. So the man who has the pot that is not exhaustible. In English, it means almighty. Everything is within it. That is Olodumare. Now, if you want to tell me that Yoruba have many gods, I have a book, if a city with 201 gods, mention them. If you are speaking Yoruba, have you heard anybody who says, Ṣàngó Ọlọ́run, or Ọya Ọlọ́run, or Ògún Ọlọ́run? I have never heard it. Ṣàngó, Ọya, Ògún, that's the name we call them, Orisha. Does Orisha mean God? No. If you speak the Yoruba language, Orisha is when you have language, Olodumare, we put it together because Olodu tí ò kéré, we shorten it. Orisha is shortened form of Orisha. Ori is your destiny. Picks you out. So the meaning of Orisha, àwọn tí Orisha, àwọn tó jẹ́ pé Ọlọ́run dá wọn, ó fún wọn lóore ọ̀fẹ́ láti ṣe nǹkan kan. And if you take the Orisha Yoruba, every Orisha ó ní nǹkan tó ṣe. Ògún Orisha ni wọ́n sọ pé Ọlọ́run. Ọ̀rúnmìlà mórúkọ ìyá ẹ̀, alájẹrù. Jágùntà lórúkọ bàbá ẹ̀, òkè kẹ̀tì náà bí sí. Ṣé ìyẹn lọ́lọ́run? The idea of Ọlọ́run is somebody who is not of this world, who descended from space. Those are the ideas of the Romans and the Greeks. Even it's in the Bible. Sons of God and daughters of men. In the Bible, at the beginning, the sons of God, who was from God, we don't have that in Yoruba. We know where they are born. They are heroes. They are human beings, but they have done what most people could not do, and they single themselves out as contributors to the development of the Yoruba people.
All right. That unknowingly she broke down the sons of God in Genesis chapter 2. All right, because it's a popular doctrine saying that angels slept with women. That's not true. Those was not angels. Those were the pre-Israelites, Ban Allah. All right, sons of God that slept with the other races during that time. All right, so she just explained a culture that the Rishas are not spiritual beings. They were people that had extraordinary spiritual powers, man, that set them apart for everything else. All right, and you see that it said you're supposed to worship one power, man. All right, because you had a disagreement in that particular community. All right, one agreed that the ritual was spiritual beings; they should be mediators between that and the Most High. One tell you, hey, they should be worshipped along with the Most High. The other one say, no, you're supposed to worship the Creator, man. All right, now they may get, they lost the name, man, but they, some of them still have that zeal, man, to worship, man. All right, so and she destroy all you scoffing jakes who come up here talking about we're ashamed of our heritage in West Africa and all this stuff, and we don't got nothing to do with the Israelites. And this woman telling you like it is, man. All right, so let me see what else. All right, so let me see what else we have. All right, and we'll show you. Let me see. Giannis highlights. Show he's an Israelite, man. Hold on for a minute. They played the most. All right, let me get the also Hakeem Olajuwon, the guy who defeated Shaq and David Robinson to win the NBA championships, man. He dominated the hell out of them, man. He's Yoruba, man. All right, so Captain Tazarayach, man, you need to stop, man. Y'all got that bad in ISBK, man. Y'all got that very bad, man. Y'all carnal, man. All right, it says Psalms 82:6. I had said, "Ye are gods, and all you are the children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes." Right, we in these chains of darkness, these flesh, man. But we are gods, man. Michael Jordan, all this stuff. Michael Jordan. All right, and et cetera, man. In this case, Giannis, man, he's a son of Israel. Watch he dominate the Israelites in the NBA, man. Watch this. All right. Like I said, section, let me read that again. That's section 108.
What the fuck? Why couldn't they click onto
All right. Hold on for a minute. I'll use this again. All right. I'm going to show this. All right. Fair use, section 108. Use this clip from the NBA or ESPN, whatever this thing is playing on. All right. Hold on. Now watch this. Watch Giannis.
Most preseason minutes. We saw that last year. We saw it again this year. Giannis bringing the courts.
Giannis up top, no defending that. Harris denied Antetokounmpo on Hill. And Giannis with the weak side help.
Job though by posting Durant and then getting good open threes.
Giannis
with the touch playing through Durant in the low post.
Giannis bully ball. Got it and one. Downhill at Simmons. Double game, it didn't matter. He put Simmons in the weight room, saying he's too little.
Pick the pocket. Giannis has some choices. He himself. Why not? When you can do that. Giannis is dangerous. Here he comes on the push. A one-person break. Giannis again looking for his. His quickness. Giannis! Just twisted away. Vintage true to end it. Plenty of count, Giannis. Running three-point shooter either. He can put it on the floor and use this wide body too. We're used to seeing between these two teams. There's some more. Giannis takes it all the way. Full steam ahead for Giannis with the left.
That's enough, man. That's enough, man. All right, he's defeating Jake, man, on the court because he is a Jake himself, man. All right, so Giannis is an Israelite, man. Captain Zario know what he's talking about with that Shalom.